This resume just cost someone a $90,000 data analyst job. They had all the right skills, SQL, Tableau, and even had a portfolio. But then they send out the resume and I've reviewed over 500 resumes from my community of 400,000, and here are the top mistakes that people make that literally cost them jobs. Everyone thinks that it's all about having the right technical skills on paper, but the truth is that recruiters only spend 7.4 seconds on your resume. Recruiters just scan your resume in an F pattern and then walk away if they don't like what they see. If you want to know what the F pattern is and all of my other resume secrets, stay tuned for the rest of the video, because you will not only learn how to manipulate a recruiter's attention, but I'm going to build a data analytics resume live. Also, quick moment to celebrate hitting 10,000 subscribers on YouTube in my first 2 months. Y'all are seriously the best. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not already subscribed, then like, what the heck are you doing? Sub now. Okay, let's first take a moment to look at this bad resume example and try to figure out what's wrong with it. So look at this resume and what do you think is bad about it? At a first glance, what stands out to you? And if you think this resume looks good, then you absolutely most certainly should be watching this video. Because this resume is atrocious. I will say that like the format and template this resume uses is good, but all the material and content is bad. At a first glance, I see a lot of things. I see a lot of like mismatch in style. I see a bunch of different fonts and sizes, different bullet point styles, just things that make this look really messy. And then I also just don't like how messy it is. So like, for example, this right here falls onto the second line because it doesn't fit on the first line. Same thing with this right here. And then each job experience only has one bullet point under it and just a bunch of like gibberish for that bullet point. Responsible for planning and launching experiments and doing analyses while working with others, designing metrics, writing blog posts, and facilitating meetings as Scrum Master, which mostly involved describing what was done without focusing on results and basically doing day-to-day tasks with a lot of details that don't really add up to much.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
And I'll be straight with y'all, I use ChatGPT to help me make a bad version of my resume, but this really be exactly how some of y'all's resumes sound. No exaggeration. ChatGPT was right on the money. Okay, let's talk about the latter's eye tracking study and what the results were. Okay, the first big thing we need to pay attention to is that recruiters spent on average 7.4 seconds screening a resume and making a decision. 7.4 seconds. Let's actually sit here for 7.4 seconds just to feel how fast it is. Ready? Go. That is how fast recruiters are going to be looking at your resume and deciding yes, you're moving on, or no, and throwing your resume in the trash. I mean, everything's online nowadays, so I guess they're throwing it in a virtual trash can, but you know what I mean. So it's super important that you know how to stand out super quickly because you do not have much time. Even looking again at this bad resume example, there are so many words on this page. A recruiter's not going to read everything. They're just going to read something on a high level, 7.4 seconds worth of information, and then they're going to make a decision. So what's the information they're actually going to read? This eye tracking study found that recruiters typically scan resumes in an F or an E pattern, which is visualized by these heat maps. It's a little bit of a loose F or a loose E shape, but it really gives us a lot of insight into which sections of our resume matter most, because the ones with more concentration of eye movement are the places that we need to focus on the most on our resume. Yeah, so that means if you put all the good stuff on the bottom right corner of your resume, no one's probably going to even look at that. So this study really highlights the fact that you need to have clear, simple layouts, very clean fonts. Everything needs to be super organized and easy to glance at quickly. And because of the F-shaped pattern, you need to focus most on what's at the very top of your resume and what's on the far left side of your resume. There's a lot of different ways to organize your resume, but you need to make sure whatever is at the very top needs to be the most important. Maybe you have a header section. I know that's kind of a controversial opinion. Some people like them, some people don't. Or maybe if you're a recent graduate, you have your education right at the top. Or maybe if you have really good work experience, you start right with your experience right at the top. Whatever is at the very top of your resume, it needs to be the most interesting and exciting thing that's going to sell you for a position. Similarly, everything on the far left side of your resume, which is going to be your job titles, the companies you've worked at, the very beginning of all of your bullet points, those are the things that you need to also focus on. So going back to our bad example, let's see what we have at the very top of our resume. We have experience, which I think it's fine to start out with your experience. That's how I start out my resume too, because I think my experience speaks louder than anything else, but it's kind of messy. We instantly get into a lot of details like remote and just a bunch of gibberish. Like reading this sentence kind of gives me a headache, and that's going to be a recruiter's quick first impression of me. And then if we go all the way down the left side, we just see a bunch of company names and a bunch of like honestly formatting errors, and we don't really see anything on like the left side at the beginning of the bullet points that really stands out. And just like that, a recruiter is already passing on to the next resume. This study also found that the worst performing resumes had super long sentences and very little white space, which looks exactly like the bad resume example I showed you. And also multiple columns. If you have a resume with multiple columns, like side A and side B, oh my gosh, please like literally just throw it away and start over. Do not have a resume like that. It's terrible. The study also notes that if you have too much keyword stuffing on your resume, you're just throwing in a bunch of jargon and a bunch of buzzwords, things that you probably don't even know anything about, recruiters are going to pick up on that. Recruiters are very smart and they're really good at screening candidates. So if you're just throwing on a bunch of like trendy words and like all these things that you don't really know about, they're probably going to put 2 and 2 together and figure out that you're just kind of lying and stuffing in all those keywords, which really hurts your credibility and makes it really hard to move on from there. And I've seen this happen. I worked with someone once who posted their resume and they wrote up descriptions of like, their job duties, what they did. And I was like, these sentences don't even make sense. Like you were not doing this type of work. You don't even know how to do natural language processing. So don't lie on your resume and think that buzzwords are automatically going to get you through to the next round. By the way, if you want to land your next data analyst role faster, I've created a complete system that gives you everything you need to get a data job. Check out my free 3-step data analytics roadmap below. The link is in the description. It's absolutely free and it breaks down everything you need to do to get a job as a data analyst. From technical skills to portfolio building to networking, it has everything. All right, it's time to transform this resume based on the study and everything we've learned so far. And I will say the format of your resume and the order you put things in is going to kind of determine where you are in your career. If you're a recent graduate, like you're just now graduating from school, looking for your first job ever, you might not have a lot of experience. Then I would put your education at the very top of your resume and put your graduation year on there. So that way they know you're graduating this upcoming spring and ready to work. But beyond being a fresh grad, never put your graduation year on your resume because it can lead to age bias and you want people to judge you based off of your skills and experience, not based off of your graduation year. Especially if you're a younger woman earlier on in your career, take your graduation years off. And if you're a recent grad or transitioning into data from another field, then I would put technical skills at the top because you might not have a ton of experience yet and you want to highlight all of those technical hard skills like SQL, data visualization, any coding languages, all that you're going to want to put at the top so recruiters see it first. Don't bury it at the bottom like this. But if you already have relevant experience, you want to lead with your experience section because experience is always going to be the most valuable thing on your resume. So that's why I have experience on the top for mine. So let's kind of fix this up. So here I have the company name that I worked at. I have remote. I think that's helpful so they don't think that I'm working in like a specific city. And then I have SaaS fintech. Sometimes you do want to put those buzzwords so people know what kind of company it is, because if you're applying for a similar company or a similar industry, they'll see that you already have experience in that industry. And then I have my job title and my years. So everything's good here actually. I would really need to break up this bullet point into multiple bullet points, not just one. So we want to split up this entire sentence into accomplishments with quantified impact. Right now, this is just listing job duties and a bunch of rambling, and that's a really common mistake people make on their resumes. They list their job duties. I did this, I made dashboards, I wrote queries, I attended meetings, I managed this, I led this initiative, but that doesn't stand out to recruiters. Instead, you want to list your accomplishments. So instead of your day-to-day operations and all the tasks you completed, you want to focus on your big accomplishments. So you're only going to have 2 to 3 bullet points per job, the biggest impact you had on the company, and you want to quantify it. And you want to quantify it either with money made or time saved. And people say, Jazz, I don't know how much it was. I don't know the exact amount. And they're doing like a forecast over here to figure out the exact dollar amount. Just make it up. Okay, don't lie and completely make it up, but I mean like estimate, because that's really what we're doing in business every day anyways, right? So instead of saying responsible for planning and launching experiments, we could say increase conversion by an estimated 4.5% by planning and launching an A/B test and a pre-post analysis to measure the impact of onboarding tutorial on trial conversions. Doesn't that just sound sexier? So we led with the impact. We increased conversion by 4.5%, and then we have an estimated revenue amount as well, and then we said how we did it. So turning all of your resume bullet points into accomplishments, you want to follow this format. Accomplished X by doing Y as measured by Z. So you're saying what was accomplished, what you did to accomplish it, and how you're measuring that. If you don't hit those 3 main points in your bullet points, you're not gonna have the true impact of your work on your resume. And here's another bullet point example: designed, QA'd, and reported on 30 plus front-end events that aligned with metrics and leadership goals. I will say this bullet point is missing an accomplishment, like did this lead to more revenue, more conversions, time saved? So that would make this stronger, but it is good. We do have something quantified in here, 30 plus events. You need to have some sort of quantified number in every resume bullet point because numbers just sound good. Without having any numbers, there's no sort of idea of what the impact was of your work and what scale it was at. And I do also love bolding the important things. So on my resume, I like to bold the numbers, the revenue, the things I really want to call attention to. And again, you can just estimate these. You can try to figure out how much money you made the company, how much you increased X metric that the company uses, or time saved is also a really good way to quantify things on your resume. Maybe you automated a report that saved 5 hours a week that used to be manual work. Anything like that you can quantify, money made or time saved, is going to look really good to recruiters because time is money in business, and time and money are like the two most important things in business. Okay, so you can use this technique to go through all of your bullet points on your resume and replace all of your boring job duties in your task-based bullet points with quantified impact. And of course, you want to lead with your biggest accomplishments at the very top. So for example, this is probably my biggest accomplishment. I want to put that at the very top under this company's bullet points. Okay, let's move on to the skills section. Again, depending on your experience level, this might not be at the bottom of your resume, but just throwing in a bunch of words and buzzwords is crazy. Please don't do this. You want to lead with the most powerful skills. So for example, if you're going for a data analytics job, you probably want to lead with SQL, a business intelligence tool, Excel. Things like that are going to stand out the most because that's what most jobs are looking for in this job market. But also nowadays, everybody knows Excel, so I wouldn't really put that on there unless you don't really have as much else to put on there. And you also want to lead with the skills that you're most confident in and that you have the most experience in. So your strongest skills need to be at the beginning. But if you're going for a data analyst role, don't just put a bunch of random skills. Only feature your technical skills that align with data analyst roles. Sometimes I see people transitioning from nursing or teaching or whatever, and they list all these completely irrelevant certifications and skills. And I'm like, why would you put those over SQL and a business intelligence tool? Makes no sense. So even if you have amazing skills and certifications that are just not related to data, I'm sorry, but just leave those off. They don't matter. Only put things on your resume that you want to call attention to. Any other fluff or Hail Marys, they're just a distraction. So here, you not only want to put all of your coding languages and the softwares and platforms you're familiar with, but you also want to put just generic skills too. So maybe you're good at these skills, SQL, Power BI, Python, Snowflake. Those are pretty basic tools, coding languages for data analytics, but you also want to highlight that you have A/B testing experience. So you can put A/B testing, you can put forecasting. I also throw in some little buzzwords here like funnel analysis, data modeling, exploratory data analysis, anything like that you have a lot of experience in. It also shows that you know how to talk the talk. Sometimes just saying the right words and aligning with what they're looking for is what will really get you into a job. But again, don't lie on your resume. If you don't have that experience, don't put it on there. And this section of the video is going to be for people that don't have a lot of experience. For me, my experience section is so full. I have to be so specific and selective about what I want to highlight on my resume. And then I barely have room for my education and my technical skills. But if you are like, oh my gosh, I cannot fill up the experience section. I'm new to data analytics. I'm transitioning into data. I don't know what to put here. Don't worry. I got you. What you're going to do is you're going to add a section to your resume called Data Analytics Projects. And if you don't have a lot of relevant corporate data experience, this is going to go at the top of your resume under your skills and maybe your education if you're a new grad. And this is where you'll highlight your best portfolio projects. People always ask, Jess, how many projects should I have in my portfolio? I did 10. You don't need 10. Anything that is not adding to your value and selling you is just a distraction. It's fluff. So only have your best projects in your portfolio, and then you only choose the top 1, 2, maybe 3 for your resume. The projects that you were most proud of, the ones that you use the deepest technical skills, maybe ones that align with this industry that you're applying in, anything that you think is going to stand out and sell you and your value the most. And here in the project titles, you want to include any sort of buzzwords. So maybe payment, funnel analysis, fintech, SaaS company. So this shows that you're familiar with the funnel analysis, and then also you have a little bit of experience or a little bit of exposure to what a fintech SaaS company would look like. And that's helpful if you're applying to fintech SaaS companies because they'll understand that you're speaking the same language. Under here, you'll also add bullet points just like we did for the experience section, starting with your accomplishments. So accomplished X or found this by doing Y as measured by XYZ. And you're only gonna have like 1 or 2 bullet points under these projects, and then you're also gonna link them so they can easily go view the work. Which of course, if you've seen my portfolio videos already, you know that you need to be highlighting summaries of the projects on a README page in GitHub. Go watch my portfolio videos if you don't know what I'm talking about. That's what you're gonna link here on your resume. And again, I know it's super hard to come up with accomplishments for a fake data project that wasn't in a real company, but I think you can kind of estimate the impact or highlight some of the insights you found and just be very transparent in interviews that it was a personal project you did for fun. That way you're still showing that you can quantify business impact and really understand that deeper impact of your project, but you're not lying or being deceptive and pretending like you did this in like a real company. And again, you might not need a data analytics project section because this section and the technical skills section become less important as you get more real experience. I will also briefly talk about education. If you're a recent grad, you might want to include just some like coursework and like some of the classes you took just so they understand what you kind of have knowledge about. And then if you had any leadership positions or really impressive accomplishments, you could put those on there too, but employers generally don't care much about education beyond the fact that, you know, you have your degree. So don't waste too much space on your resume with your education, even if you're a recent grad. And yes, if you're in school and you did data projects, you can take those projects and put those in your data analytics projects section, but make sure they're realistic and follow the guidelines that I've given you for, you know, building good projects and building a good portfolio. Because if they're just like the Titanic data set, then yeah, it's not going to do it for you. All right, here's the transformation. This is my actual resume, but disclaimer, I haven't updated it in like, I think 3 years because I haven't searched for a new job in 3 years really. So this is like extremely out of date, but I still stand by it. This is a great format. It's organized. It's very clean. It highlights my accomplishments. So let's walk through it. At the top, I have all of my important links. So right here, we have data science projects and it links to my GitHub. And in here, I do have like different projects I've done. And depending on what sort of job or industry I'm going for, I might change this link to something more specific that aligns better. But right now I'm just linking my overall GitHub. I also have my LinkedIn profile linked. You should always have your LinkedIn profile and obviously make sure it's cleaned up and filled out and presents you well. You don't want to link a bad LinkedIn profile, but linking your LinkedIn profile is also good because they can go look and find more information about you and just get a better glimpse of your professional life. And then I also have my LinkedIn learning courses on here. I don't know, there's something I'm proud of. I don't know if it really helps for data analyst jobs. I don't know if any employers actually care or not, but I'm proud of them. And I feel like it also gives me a little more like credibility because, you know, if I'm teaching on LinkedIn Learning, I must know like something about data, right? And then at the very top, I have my most recent corporate job experience as a senior data analyst. I have the industry. It was a SaaS kind of fintech, mostly tech company. And then notice how this resume is super clean. The formatting, the fonts, everything is just super easy to read. There's plenty of white space, so it's not overwhelming with like too much text. I don't have these giant paragraphs and run-on sentences and just too much rambling on going on here. I also have accomplishments and all of my bullet points. They're quantified with numbers, percents, the number of events, 1 million impressions, and I bolded the most important parts too, so I can really call attention to those bigger numbers and, you know, key industry words like Scrum Master. At the very bottom, I have my education, which of course I am proud of, but now that I'm this far from graduating and have all this work experience, I have it at the bottom of my resume. So if someone wants to see that I have a master's degree, it's there, but no one really cares about that at this point, honestly. And then I have my technical skills at the very bottom. So I have, you know, SQL, Snowflake is the platform I code SQL in most often. Python, Power BI, Sisense, Tableau, R, GitHub, HubSpot, and SaaS. Those are things I've used on the job. And then below that, I have just like regular skills. So not like tools and languages, but just like, you know, regular skills. So like A/B tests, pre-post tests, funnel analysis, data modeling, statistical modeling, machine learning, just so they kind of know what I know about. So let's see if this passes the F test. Looking at the very top, we have this first work experience. Okay, she worked as a senior data analyst for almost 3 years. We see all these like shiny numbers and accomplishments and buzzwords, yay. And then going down the side and over again, we have this next job, LinkedIn Learning. Wow, that's so impressive. We have all these numbers and, you know, everything just looks very shiny. And then going down, we see that I have experience as a senior data analyst, a data analytics manager, and all these other things boosting my credibility. And of course, all those things are like bolded, so they also stand out a little more too. So I'll say that this resume absolutely passes the F test. This resume is not perfect by any means, but it's way better than the first one we looked at. So I would bet that this resume is going to get me way more jobs just because it's cleaner, has quantified accomplishments, and just passes the F test better. Here's what just happened. happened. We took a resume that would get rejected in seconds, and we turned it into one that recruiters would actually stop and reach out for an interview. And that difference isn't luck. It's understanding how monsters, recruiters, actually read resumes. But the data analytics system I teach goes way beyond just resume formatting. If you want to land your dream data role faster, grab my free 3-step data analytics roadmap in the description below. And if it still feels impossible for you to land a data analytics job in this job market, watch my next video. Sending you lots of big data energy. Bye.